Welcome back to the podcast where we ask the question, what makes you happy? My name is Jake Pearson, and our guest today is a TEDx speaker, happiness coach, and they help organizations reduce turnover, increase productivity, and normalize mental health conversations at work with the Work Happy game plan. Greg Kettner from Walla Walla, Washington, United States. Pleasure to have you. How are you doing?
Great. Thank you, Jake. Thanks for having me on. I'm happy just talking to you, man. I've got a new friend down in Australia.
That's fantastic. And it's so funny. We were just talking off screen about how there's a Walla Walla in Australia and the US. And when I looked and I was so confused, I'm like, I thought he was not an Australian. And so it completely threw me for a second, but it's another little connection there as well. Super excited to have you, Greg. Are you ready to talk about the things that make you happy?
Absolutely. How much time do we have? A couple hours?
A couple hours. Oh, I could do that forever too. Let's start with that, Greg. What does make you happy?
A lot of things make me happy, but I think if I boil it down, it's the sound of laughter, having a good belly laugh, whether it's my kid laughing or, sitting around the dinner table with my wife and daughter laughing, or just out on the golf course. I'm into sports, but just hearing laughter. And when we do that, just the effect that it has, not only the person that's laughing, but everybody around them.
Oh, laughter. I know. And as soon as you said laughter, I just imagined like myself walking through a shopping center and seeing a couple of people, friends, elderly, whatever, just having a cup of coffee and laughing, and that infectious smile and energy that it brings, and you just can't help it. Just smile for them. That's an incredible feeling to experience that. Do you have other things as well that make you happy, or is laughter the sort of that main thing for you?
Probably the main thing that I go to, but just serving other people. I mean, I've done sales for 27 years now, and I'm speaking and working with people on how to build a work happy culture. Just to see, the light go off, and they're like, oh, that makes sense, right? Because to be happy, you don't have to spend a ton of money to do it, right? You can send a gratitude text, you can go for a coffee, with a friend, you can share a joke, whatnot, but just serving others just absolutely makes me happy as well.
I love that. And you mentioned something just then, work happy. What's that about?
How do we work happy? We've all had great jobs. We've all had poor jobs. And during the pandemic, I lost my job. I was told that I was non essential. I said to my boss, I think you're non essential. He won the argument. And so, the days after, I was talking to my wife, trying to figure out what to do. And she said, you have a great positive attitude. You love being on stage. You love making people happy. Why not go and help people work happy? And the light went off, and it's been amazing. I've met people like you in Australia, all over Europe, Canada, the US. So it's been quite a ride.
That's incredible. Thank you for sharing that, Greg. I want to
Yeah.
I want to circle towards the advice section of this episode and what you would like to share with our listeners who potentially are struggling to find happiness in their lives. If someone walked up to you and they were just in conversation, they were struggling to find a bit of happiness, what do you leave them with? What's the advice there?
Well, I think the best advice would be to just really take time for yourself. Be a little bit selfish on the
Cool.
happiness, right? Because if I'm not happy, how am I going to be happy with my friends or somebody else?
Hmm.
And so, happiness is a mindset that we need to choose every day. Just because I'm happy today, it doesn't mean I'm going to wake up with the grumps tomorrow. But if I do the routine, do stuff that makes me happy, and it's back to the laughter. And I tell people this all the time: take 5 minutes in the morning, go on YouTube, whoever makes you laugh, and just laugh for 5 minutes, and it'll make your day. It'll turn it around.
That's an incredible piece of advice, and I want to add on to that a short story. I found myself in a position where I love seeing other people be happy, and I
Yeah.
love seeing other people laugh. And I asked my friends, what's the most common theme you see with me? And you're like, oh, you've always liked to stir the pot, basically what you call a shit stirrer. And I'm like, really? And I started connecting the dots. I'm like, at all times, I'm always trying to crack jokes or make innuendos or just get laughs out of people. And I wonder how that's connected to me wanting to make other people feel happy. So it's just a weird little realization that I had
Yeah.
that I like it's in a way of serving other people. And I couldn't do that if I wasn't in a place of happiness myself. So it's really important what you said
Yeah.
there. Being selfish in order to improve the quality of life of those who you may want to impact, whether it's kids, your other relatives, or your colleagues. When you're
Yep,
in a good place, all of that is just so much easier to serve other people, right?
absolutely. And some people, if they are really struggling with happiness, reach out. It's not shameful. You don't have to feel guilty. Reach out to Jake. Reach out to myself on social media, because there are people who care about you. And if you're struggling, just reach out. And I don't know, for people in the States anyway, just back in July, they changed the suicide and crisis line. It's now 988. So if anybody is struggling, there's a professional that can help you get the help you need, so you can be happier.
Incredible. Greg, thank you so much for sharing all things that make you happy. It's been an absolute pleasure to hear about that and the advice that you've shared with us today. Thank you so much. Thanks for listening to the podcast. We hope it gives you something to think about on your quest to discover what makes you happy. Make sure to check out whatmakesyouhappypodcast.com to connect with today's guest and follow us on all our social media platforms, and to stay up to date at what's happening next at What Makes You Happy. Don't forget to share this episode with a friend, and we'll see you next time.